India has been attacked recurrently by the Sogs, Huns, Pathans and the Mughals. Some have just plundered the riches and left, while others have settled and ruled. This was on the 23rd of June, 1757. A 11-hour battle witnessed the defeat of Nawab Siraj-ud-Dawla at the hands of Robert Clive of the East India Company. We regard the defeat at the Battle of Plassey to be the beginning of the onset of our subjugation. 100 years later, the first organized insurrection of India, probably known as the Sepoy Mutiny, took place. On the 29th of March, 1857, the Sepoy Mutiny flared up in undivided Bengal in an army barrack of Barakpur. It was led by Mangal Pandey, who flared at Lord Bow of 34 Bengal native infantry. The bullet did not hit Bow, and Pandey was overpowered in no time. Another mutiny broke out in 1824 when, on the 13th of October, the same Bengal native infantry was ordered by Commander-in-Chief Sir Edward Paget to go to Burma for war. This mutiny was led by Binda Tiwari, who was subsequently court-martialed on the 10th of November. He is still worshipped by the Sepoys as Binda Baba. The next was the Indigo Revolt. Indigo was the main cash crop of the East India Company. The British landowner forced the peasants to cultivate indigo, which was then exported. The repression of the landowner exploited and impoverished the cultivators. The first part of revolt flared up at Krishnanagar, Nodia, under the leadership of Vishnu Charan Bishwas and Digambar Bishwas in 1859. Soon it spread like wildfire in Murshidabad, Birbhum, Bardhaman, Kulna and Patna. Harish Chandra Mukherjee wrote regular columns in Hindu Patriot giving details of the revolt. At this point, Dinobandhu Mitra wrote the famous play Nil Darpo, which created sympathy and solidarity for the indigo cultivators throughout the country. In 1882 was published Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay's souvenir work Anandamot, which became an inspiration to the revolutionaries with its poem Bande Mataram. In 1902, Pramodanath Mitra and Satish Basu established an organization of revolutionaries named Anushilan Samiti. When Lord Curzon decided to partition Bengal in 1905, the Samiti members decided to retaliate. In 1907, Pulin Bihari Das tried to assassinate the then district magistrate of Dhaka, which failed, but the former was arrested and exiled to Ahmedabad. Another revolutionary organization named Juganto, established by Barin Ghosh in 1906, was joined by Hemchandra Kanungo, who travelled all the way to Paris to master the technique of manufacturing bombs. He and Ullashkar Dotto started making bombs in a residence at Muraripukur. It is from here that the bombs to assassinate the magistrate Kingsford was supplied to Khudiram Bose and Profullo Chaki. After the former was arrested, the British government started a widespread crackdown on suspects, and in 1908, the proceedings of Alipur bomb case was initiated against Aurobindo Ghosh and 39 other revolutionaries.
The Alipur bomb case was the first state trial of any magnitude in contemporary India. It was a sensational case dragging on with preliminary hearings in the magistrates' court involving thousands of artifacts as evidence and more than 200 witnesses, followed by a trial in the sessions court involving 1438 exhibits and another 200 witnesses. And during this period, the under trial prisoners were illegally held in Presidency Jail under torturous conditions, including solitary confinement.
While the pleading of Chittaranjan Das led to acquittal of Aurobindo Ghosh, Ullashkar Dotto and Barin Ghosh were exiled.
During the initial hearings in the magistrates' court, Naren Goswami, in exchange for a full pardon, claimed in his testimony that Aurobindo Ghosh was not only aware of several dacoities and bombings attempted by the secret society, the Maniktala secret society, but had even helped in the planning. Naren also claimed that Aurobindo was the Borokarta, or the principal leader of the secret society, and that his younger brother Barin Ghosh was only the Chotokarta or the deputy. Now this betrayal proved costly for Naren. For some under trial prisoners under the leadership of Barin Ghosh hatched a plan to get rid of Naren Goshai. But meanwhile, the jail authorities had shifted Naren Goshai to the jail block where European prisoners were kept because they feared retribution from his revolutionary associates. However, to get access to him, two accused in the same case, Kanailal Dotto and Shotten Bose, pretended to be sick so that they could be shifted as patients in the adjacent jail hospital. Thereafter, Shotten Bose sent a message to Naren expressing his desire to also turn approver. This bait was swallowed by Naren. Accordingly, on 31st August 1908, Shotten Bose and Kanailal sought to meet Naren Goshai. Naren did not suspect anything, and accordingly he came to the jail hospital dispensary along with an escort to meet them. When Shotten and Kanailal saw Naren, they immediately took out revolvers which was previously smuggled in prison, and this was incredible. In one of the most boldest, you can say, adventurous feat of revolutionary freedom and opened fire. There was a scuffle with the escorts. Shots rang out. 9 bullets were fired in total. However, in that confusion, a grievously wounded Norin managed to still run out of the hospital gate with Kanailal and Shotin in hot pursuit. However, a bullet from Kanailal's revolver found its mark and punctured his spine. He spun around and fell down, dying into a drain in that area. So justice was served on the traitor, and in true revolutionary style.
However, the death sentence of Kanailal Dotto and Shotin Basu charged the whole of Bengal. Consequently, Upendra Bandopadhyay, Hemchandra Kanungo,
সুধীর কুমার সরকার,
Abhinash Chandra Bhattacharya, Indu Bhushan Roy, Bibhuti-Bhushan Sarkar, Birendra Sen, Indranath Nandi, Shailendra Basu, Rishikesh Kanjilal, and many others were exiled. While the Alipur bomb case was going on, Jyotindranath Mukhopadhyay, popularly known as Bagha Jotin, was given the charge to lead Jugantar.
Among his close associates were Narendranath Bhattacharya, the future Amen Roy, who is well documented. Jodu Gopal Mukherjee was there, Bholanath Chatterjee, and Atul Ghosh. These 4 were the mastermind behind the plan to receive a cargo of arms and ammunition to be delivered by a German ship for an armed revolution against the British.
The revolutionary movement of Bengal brought a new lease of light. It was he who planned the adventurous campaign like Arms Haste of Roda Company or capturing the Fort William.
Chittopriyo Roy Chaudhary, Manoranjan Sengupta, Nirendranath Dasgupta, and Jyotish Chandra Pal, who were his comrades during the heroic encounter with the British police and military at Boribalam on 9th September 1915.
Rashbihari Basu was another great revolutionary. He had time and again hoodwinked the British police. He inducted Boshanto Bishwas in the Jugantar group and assigned him to assassinate Governor General Lord Hardwicke. In 1912, Rashbihari Basu and 16-year-old Boshanto Bishwas, who was disguised as a woman, were waiting with bombs at the meeting of the Governor General at Delhi. But the target was missed. 14 months later, Boshanto Bishwas was arrested from his residence at Krishnanagar. His age was increased by the police in order to hang him. This was held inside the Ambala jail. Charuchandra Roy, who was an ardent nationalist, was a professor in Dupley College of Chandanagar. Many young revolutionaries like Rashbihari Basu, Kanailal Dotto, Srish Ghosh were inspired by him. It is here at Chandanagar that revolutionary Motilal Roy established the Prabartak Sangho, where hundreds of revolutionaries took shelter at some time or the other. The bombs to kill Lord Hardin was also manufactured here. After the failure of Bagha Jotin's Christmas Day plot and Rashbihari Basu's Gadar Revolution, the British government became very active to crush the revolutionaries. In 1928, during the Congress session in Calcutta, Subhash Chandra Bose organized the Bengal Volunteers, which was joined by Major Shottogupta and Major Jotin Das.
Bengal volunteers was a revolutionary force. It is uncomparable with the other revolutionary force of Bengal. They are very much secretive, they are courageous, and their fear, they used to do all their works very secretly, and Subhash Chandra Bose was one of the hero leader of that team, Bengal volunteer.
Many others, including Binoy, Badul, Dinesh, the heroes of Writers Building campaign, also joined them.
Much before Jhansi regiment of INA, Netaji's INA, in the year 1928, in Pass Circus conference, there was a lady volunteer team headed by Latika Bosu. And after that, many women volunteers were included in Bengal volunteers. They are unsung hero and heroines of our freedom struggle.
Surjo Sen and his followers planned to attack the police armory at Chattogram on 18th April 1930. They had planned to capture 2 armories in the city and attack the European Club. They also successfully established a revolutionary government, but the British forces encircled them and the revolutionaries were martyred at the Jalalabad hills.
Bidhubhushan Sen was one of the main village organizer. He has done great jobs after Jalalabad battlefield. Then most of the heroes have gone underground and continued their struggle till they have arrested, and Jalalabad fight was continued in the form of guerrilla warfare up to 1941.
So, it is a pleasure if they are in discussion, if they comes in the topics, next generation, future generation, they will be able to know who has sacrificed, who have taught us how to live, how to love the country, and for loving the country, for independence, sacrifice their own life.
The heroic struggle of Surjo Sen, popularly known as Master Da, was a great inspiration to the freedom movement.
The organization was established by the patriots to preserve the memories of the freedom struggle and memorize the memory works and activities of the sacrifice they made for the liberation of the country.
Women had also contributed immensely to the freedom movement. There were also freedom fighters who sacrificed their lives following the peace and the non-violent teachings of Gandhiji. During the Quit India movement in 1942, Medinipur was ignited. A parallel government was installed here, Tamrolipto Jatiyo Sarkar. The head of the government was Satish Samanto. Its finance secretary was Ajay Kumar Mukhopadhyay, who later became the chief minister of Bengal. Sushil Kumar Dhara was his home secretary. On the 29th of September 1942, the Congress members planned to capture Medinipur police station and other government offices by launching a procession which was being led by a 72-year-old Gandhian named Matongini Hajra. The British police stopped the procession, but Matongini marched forward with the national flag in her hand. They were fired upon repeatedly. Matongini and 11 others were martyred on the spot.
I must pay my salute and gratitude to all the freedom fighters and martyrs who laid down their lives, digested unbearable torture, spent years after years behind the bars, and without whose contribution and sacrifice India would not achieve freedom. Pritilata Vadedar was the first woman martyr of Indian freedom struggle. Kalpana Datta's family was very loyal to British administration. That was her greatest advantage. Mastadda asked Kalpana to smuggle acid, especially sulfuric acid and nitric acid, to Chattogram for making gun cotton. And in his own laboratory in home, she made gun cotton for the preparation of dynamite. Suhasini Ganguly was an activist of Jugantar Party. After Chattogram uprising, some of the revolutionaries came down to Calcutta. Being directed by the party, Suhasini Ganguly and Shashadhar Acharya played the role of fake wife and husband and took a rented house in Chandannagar. There, the revolutionaries were given shelter. In September 1930, the shelter was cordoned by Charles Tegard. There was a gun battle between the revolutionaries and the police, and the revolutionaries were arrested.
Many people have willingly sacrificed their lives for the freedom of our country. After the 75 years of independence, it is our moral responsibility not to forget their indomitable spirit and sacrifice.